Hey, you crazy mofos. The creak of the door and the sound of the steps mean one thing. This is Bill Johnson. Leatherface 2, Bubba, from Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2, and you are listening to the Timo and Harley Show. Oh, yeah.
Welcome to the Timo and Harley Show.
Thank you for listening to the Timo and Harley Show. I am Timo. Over there is my partner in Mindcrime, Mr. Ben Harley. Say hello, Harley.
What is happening, people?
Ben, hit my music, Harley.
Yes, sir.
How are you?
Doing good, Timo. How about yourself?
Not too bad.
Yeah.
Testing. We are at Dermal Ridge. We have moved to Dermal Ridge, Ben Harley. I'm surrounded by trees and allergies.
An allergy?
Yeah, just
really?
pretty much.
No.
Yep. So have moved down here. We did move the toughest cat in the world, Snowy. You know,
wow. What a Snowy thing so far.
You know, have you had cats?
I did.
No, not really.
Yeah, not
okay,
really.
Well,
yeah. I know a little about them.
Okay, cats are not easy to move. They're not easy to move. They're very territorial. And they freak out. Like, I basically had to get two cats that were brother and sister put to sleep when we moved last time because they pissed me off so much. They were starting to throw up and get sick. And anyway, but and they were only like 10. They weren't that old, but I couldn't handle it anymore. I mean, they never adjusted to that, to the Oasis. They never did adjust to it. So Snowy, we bring him over. He's fine.
Is he fine?
Yeah, he's fine. Yeah, he's already been out in the woods. He's already getting dirty.
I bet he loves it. Yeah. I bet he loves it out there.
Yeah. He stayed in the garage for a couple days and he kind of nosed his way out, which is what a cat kind of does. But he's a tough bird, you know. And it was funny because me and Angio were out in the garage and I was just kind of commenting how good Snowy was on the move, and he started sharpening his claws on my tires.
He's like, it's on now.
It's on, yeah. I knew he was okay. So he's doing good. Shay loves it because she can act like an idiot out in the woods too. Obviously got some internet working, so that's good. Got me a snooty antenna installed. That was the last thing. I refused to move in until they put the antenna. Ben Harley, we moved in at Friday all day. Sir Ian Baird came and helped move.
Yeah, how'd that go?
That went pretty well. Yeah, and so that antenna, we moved in on Friday. The antenna was installed in the house at 3:30 that day. I mean, you can. I'm like, I kept texting our project manager, like, the antenna ain't up there yet. I'm not turning on a TV without the Meat TV coming on, you know.
Right.
So we do get out here, and the funny thing is that now Meat TV moved here, Mr. Ben Harley, in our area. They moved to an HD channel, and where we are where we're at now, unfortunately, doesn't get a very good, crisp signal. But I mean, we are getting it. It's just not locked in real good, but we're getting it. So far, okay, last night I went down into Chance's bedroom. He was trying diligently to watch Hogan's Heroes. He's flaking out a little bit on him.
Yeah.
But I went upstairs, and of course, my TV was permanently on the Meat TV as well, and Perry Mason looked like it was coming in just fine. A little bit later after that. So, but so pretty good, pretty interesting stuff. Enjoying the house so far. Definitely sleeping okay because we're dead tired.
Oh, I bet, yeah. Just flop into bed, right? Yeah.
Right.
That's good.
But, yes.
Well, good, Timo, because I know that was a big worry. And I'm glad everything's... Now, all you have to worry about is Bigfoot's on your property and stuff.
This is true. Right. So I'm looking out at the
invite them over to watch Me TV.
I think I might, yep. Invite them over to watch The Curse of Bigfoot. They'll never be my friends again.
He's like, who's the guy with the paper mache head?
If I start showing that movie to him, they'll be more elusive than ever. This species sucks. I don't know these pink species things, hairless, worm-looking things are, but they have terrible taste in movies. Yeah. So
awful.
Now, when we built the Oasis, Mr. Ben Harley, my goal was to be in by the Super Bowl. We did not make that goal. I was not very happy about it. That was not a goal this time. And of course, we made it in by the Super Bowl by 2 days. So that was an interesting and fun game. The evil empire was defeated.
Yeah, the Rebels won this one.
The Rebels did win. You're right. You're right. So, congratulations to the Eagles. I'm not an Eagles fan. I'm not an Eagles fan whatsoever. But it was nice to just how it all came together. I think it was actually good for the NFL. Look, I'm not happy with the NFL. They've handled just about every problem they've had over the last 3 or 4 years. Not just problems. They've handled the moves from different cities and stuff. They've handled this like shit.
Yeah.
It's been just terrible. And they pissed a lot of people off. I know a lot of people in St. Louis. There's a lot of people who shame you. Oh, you're not watching because they're kneeling during the... No, there's a lot of people around here that haven't watched since they screwed St. Louis over. They don't even know about that. So, I did watch the Super Bowl. I did take a knee while watching the Super Bowl. Yeah, just to piss everybody off on both sides of the argument. But it was a great game. In fact, there was more... I do believe it was the highest yardage in history.
Yeah, it was.
Not just Super Bowls, just in football. There's more yards. And that's amazing not necessarily for Tom Brady. No, that's pretty amazing when you have a backup quarterback, Nick Foles, for the Eagles, who spent a season in St. Louis and won. I think he might have won a card game while he was here. With his linemen. That was about it.
Yeah, he was there for a cup of coffee. Huh?
Yeah, and people kind of forget, he started for the Eagles a few years back. So he actually came back as a backup. When Chip Kelly was coaching the Eagles, he was a starter for a little while. I think he backed up Michael Vick, believe it or not. Oh, wow. And Michael Vick got hurt. He came in and he balled out. So, but congratulations to Nick Foles.
Yeah.
I got some bad news for you, Ben Harley.
Oh, no. Uh-oh.
Something about football that I heard. Now, of course, the day after the Super Bowl, you hear stuff. And I listen to my local talk radio. There's AM. KMOX. It's like where the Cardinals are on. It's not like Fox News Radio or something. It's literally just the big radio station KMOX around here in St. Louis.
Yeah.
And they were just talking about how the ratings were down, blah, blah, blah. Just kind of just listening, I can deal with that. That's on news radio. That's fine. I'm not watching like ESPN or something like that. So I'm sitting there listening to this, and they're talking about how the ratings were down a little bit, and how all these players and famous people are saying we're never going to let our kids play football. It's dangerous. All these concussions and stuff. So, Ben Harley, I'm sad I didn't think of this. I'm really sad I didn't think of this. But so the DJ guy or the talk show host pulled up the United States Athletic Association or something like that, the big athletic, watchdog group in the country.
Yeah.
Pulls up a list of the concussions in different sports, in different pro sports.
Yeah.
Hockey's number one.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But I can tell you that above the...
what are we talking about?
I can tell you, they're coming after your sport next, buddy. Trust me.
Oh, yeah, they are. They are, for sure.
I can also tell you that above the NFL is women's water polo.
For concussion?
Yes. The NFL is like about number, 15? In professional sports. This kind of reminds me of when like someone would criticize George Bush and he looked like deer in headlights instead of defending himself. I'm looking at the NFL going, okay, now wait a minute. Okay. You even screw up the concussion thing. What would you do if you were on the spot and someone said something about concussions? Like, you do realize that women's water polo has more concussions, right? If you said that, wouldn't that really stop a lot of arguments?
It would. Yeah, for sure.
Wrestling, Ben Harley. Like, yeah, it has more concussions. Volleyball. Yep. Women's volleyball has more concussions than football.
That's crazy.
Isn't it crazy? It was hard for me to even believe all that. But it wasn't coming from a crazy source. This was a source that probably wants to put the NFL out of business, you know?
There's been there's a lot of, here recently too. I know one of the Devils guy, he just came back from concussion, got another one,
Oh boy.
It's tough. A lot of these guys too. And the gentleman did get fined. He got suspended like 6 games, and he's been a repeat offender. It's one of them things, and it's just like.
Right.
But I will have to say the Devils lately, my team, the good old Devils, they've been sticking up for each other a little bit more to try to. Yeah, it's hard to say, Timo. They try to stick up for each other so you don't go after people like that and do cheap stuff. But what can you do? Then there's a fight. You have to fight, and
I gotta think that fights cause more concussions than. Even maybe checking does a little bit, but
a lot of that checking nowadays. These guys they get going so fast and stuff, and it's these headshots. And these guys they turn, and when they turn, and some of these guys don't mean it, but some of these guys do. They they leave their feet, and it's just
Is there any rules against checking at the head?
Oh yeah.
Okay, there is. So just not unlike the NFL. There's helmet to helmet rules basically.
Yeah, they're really cracking down on that here lately.
Okay.
A lot, and which they should be. But most time in hockey, when you check, you're supposed to. It's from your shoulder. But a lot of these guys too, and I feel bad for some of the guys who do the checking because at the last minute the guy sees it coming and he buckles kinda.
Uh-huh.
And when he does, he goes down and then he's exposed. His head's where it shouldn't be because the guy kind of has him lined up. You know what I mean? And sometimes it just happens, and it's like but they've cleaned that up quite a bit as far as suspensions and There's repeat offenders, and they know these guys, and these guys there's no tolerance for them really.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So it has gotten better.
Congratulations, and I'm just needling you about the. Listen, here's the thing.
Oh, I know that.
People also need to stop and think. No one's forced to do this.
No.
Okay. There's a lot of dangerous things out there. Okay. I mean, and there's risk involved.
Yeah,
I don't necessarily disagree. Like when I lived in where was it? Decatur, Illinois, I think. You couldn't play football, tackle football until like in 7th grade or something like that.
Yeah.
They kind of made you wait for a little bit. I'm okay with that. I had no problem with that actually. It gave me something to look forward to, and I learned how to play a little bit before I actually could. So I'm okay with that. But that being said. It's a little bit tougher to get a kid who's in 7th or 8th grade. It's a little bit tougher to force them to play a sport than when they're like 5. So a parent could force their 5-year-old living vicariously through them to play football. Kind of hard when you know how it is. You got kids that age. It might not be boys, but they're still like, they got it figured out, right? So it's kind of hard to tell them what to do. So I think that's okay. And I'm just kind of needling you a little bit about the hockey.
Oh
stuff,
no, that's been a big sticking point. And I at one point probably suffered a concussion, didn't know about it until much later.
Well, Brazil took care of that for you, didn't he?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he sure did. Yeah. So, but it's just, you have to watch those things, and they do. It's all protocol now. Yeah. As soon as something like that happens, they go right out, and
I got news for the country. If you get punched or hit real hard in the head, you're going to have a repercussion. Okay. So
exactly.
I hate to break this to everybody, but that's the way it is. So
exactly.
Let's see, Mr. Ben Harley. I got to a few things here that I watched while we were here at Dermal Ridge. So I did watch a couple things. First up, now I've been on a Frankenstein freak out.
Sure have.
All right, so I watched a 1973 version. It was an episode of ABC's Wild World of Mystery that ran from 73 to 78. Okay. Now, this stars, believe it or not, Robert Prophecy Foxworth.
Really?
Who was also on Svengoolie this weekend because Ants with Suzanne Summers was on there. Yeah, so he was on there. So he's Dr. Frankenstein, and the creature is played by, it's hard for me to say this to you. The creature is played by one Bo Svensson.
Bo Svensson, really?
And he's actually not that bad. He's actually pretty good. And Robert Foxworth is always delightful. He's always great.
Yeah, he's good.
It's kind of got a soap opera look to it, like a PBS Dark Shadows kind of look,
Yeah.
like a video kind of look. It's not that bad. I mean, just as far as it's not
Frankenstein.
horrible. Yeah, like I said, Foxworth is good, and Svensson is surprisingly good.
Love me some Bo Svensson.
Yeah. So it's a definite reimagining. It's on Amazon Prime. So
Okay.
I threw it on from 73. I was like, I'm gonna look at this. It's another reimagining though. This is not. It's amazing to me now to watch all these versions of it and see how they vary from the original story. So I'm snooting it out, being snooty about it now, looking at the stuff. Angio and I sat down and watched a Mystery Science Theater, Ben Harley, that I think you've seen. I'm pretty sure it's a movie that's called The Giant Spider Invasion
Yes, sir.
with Robert Easton in it.
The great Robert Easton. Yes.
The great Robert Easton. Yes.
Well, I still think, Tim, that movie scared the bejesus out of me as a child. But man,
Well, Harley, I mean,
quite possibly
a
my
giant
favorite.
spider shoving you up its butt. That's some scary stuff, right?
Yeah, the whole spider in the blender thing too. That got me as a kid. It just did, Oh man, but Tim, that's probably my favorite Mystery Science. It's not the greatest, maybe, but it's still I love
one of
that
the
one.
better ones.
I enjoy it. I watch it quite a bit. It's got one of my favorite lines, and the guy comes in, he says. We said something like, "Hey, anybody seen Leatherface around?" And it's just, but it fits.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's what made it funny.
Yep. Just he starts walking around that long underwear. He starts getting more and more unclothed as the movie goes on. And then his wife Ed is kind of hot too, so it kind of bothers me because she's hot. It's like,
Oh, she's a mess.
She is a mess. She's a hot mess.
She is a hot. She's a definite. Oh my god! But yeah, what a fine film. Just
It was something else.
thank you for Timo. That just made me laugh.
Let's see now. One thing that I was waiting to watch here until we moved to Dermal Ridge because I had a bottle of wine from Christmas.
Yes,
It was a King Kong bottle of wine. So, Mr. Ben Harley, we watched the 1933 King Kong.
Oh yeah. Did the wine? Did it go well with
It did
the
go
movie?
well with it. It did go well with it for sure. So I couldn't stop there though, Mr. Ben Harley. I couldn't stop there because I am kind of I'm on a freak out on freakouts.
Yeah.
I'm freaking out on freakouts, right? I'm just starting to do freakouts. I can't. It's almost like I need some kind of direction right now. So my head's a little swimmy right now because we got a lot going on. And so decided to pop in the 1976 King Kong, and we watched that right after the 33 version of it.
Oh, that's a little odd. Well, not odd. I mean, what'd you think? Like,
The contrast is great. I can tell you one thing. The 33 version is wistful. It's fun. It's breezy. I really enjoyed a whole lot. The 76 one, I like a whole lot, except I just can't stand Jessica Lange in it. Really? She's like, no, it's not a looks thing. No, it's not. She acts like she's an ass of the whole movie.
Well, that's the thing. It's like she's like it's almost Marilyn Monroe-ish type, trying to.
I guess, sort of. Yeah.
Trying like that dopey.
I just can't stand her. I think that Fay Ray was so great as.
I guess that's why I like Dizzy Bond sometimes. It's 'cause of her
You can
eyes.
have them.
I know. Oh, I know.
You can have them. One thing I didn't notice though,
She awoken things in me, Timo, as a young kid. I don't know if this should have been awoken at that
she had
time,
nice
maybe.
legs. I mean, her legs were nice. I even looked over at Angie. I was like, I think she was hired for her legs, pretty much in this movie. I'm pretty sure. Her legs were, they were long and strong. The one thing that freaked out, I was sitting there watching it though. Right toward the end of the movie, I sat right up and went, "Holy shit, that's John Agar!" And I was right. I looked it up. The city official in that movie, he's got a real brief scene. It's John Agar. I was like, "Oh my god!" And also a really small role goes to Joe Piscopo is in that.
Is he?
Yeah, I didn't find him. When I went to check to make sure I was really looking at John Agar, I saw Joe Piscopo.
Joe Piscopo.
One thing I always did know, though, I did know this, that one of the crewmen on the ship, when they're going out to Kong Island or whatever, is a one Dennis Fimple, who was one of the co-stars of Creature from Black Lake.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
And he's in a lot of stuff too. He's got a real kind of a baby face kind of look and everything. But yeah, so that was kind of interesting. But no, we had fun watching both of them.
Good.
I mean, I told Angie, I said, I think that the 76 King Kong is the most convincing effects wise. And you might laugh when I say that, but it's like, I'm not saying it's perfect. Although the giant robot is really funny. We were watching that.
Oh, yeah, it is.
I was looking for Mr. Mark Diamond. Now,
yeah, he ran past the screen real fast.
He sure did. Now, I didn't see him, but then again, I've really only been in a room with him one time, and he ran by at 8 years old in the movie. So
yeah,
didn't really pick him out of that right there. But I did wave and say, "Hi, Mark." You know,
hey, Mark, yeah.
But yeah, and then the other thing too that always bothers me too is when Kong steps on Charles Grodin,
he disappears.
Yes. Well, what bothers me is that I know I've seen the foot move away and there's a footprint with just that safari hat laying there. And then I think there was another version where he picked his foot up and then the safari hat was sticking to his foot.
Right. I think you're right.
And what bothers me is that it's never discussed. And I know I've seen this stuff. So, but anyway, either way, they were fun to watch. I was glad to see some King Kong, some giant gorillas.
Oh yeah, yeah. We're kind of on a Rick Baker freakout, unbeknownst.
And Charles Grodin.
And Charles Grodin too. Yep, exactly.
A monkey Charles Grodin. Yeah, with the Rick Baker. Yep.
They must have been hanging out at this time.
Right. Well, that's all I got, Mr. Ben Harley, because we've been doing some moving and stuff. You got a few things? Yeah. Throw at me.
Oh yeah, I got a few things, Tim. Let me
hit me.
Get my magic list here. Let me pull some. Let me whip this out.
Whoa! Hey! My lips aren't chapped. It's all right.
Right. Timo. Yes. Let me see if I can. Well, let's keep on a monster freak out then. Let's I have been watching quite a few things on Amazon, which is great. Amazon Prime has a lot of Bigfoot stuff. Some good, some bad. One that I watched here recently, and I think you might have watched this one and mentioned it to me, but it stars one Lyle Blackburn.
Yeah.
This one's called Boggy Creek Monster.
Okay.
And it's a documentary about basically the Fouke monster and like his love of the Fouke monster, and mostly people that were there at the time when it came out and before the movie came out and stuff, and tried to like some of the relatives of some of the people, that were affected in the movie, and just basically how the movie itself, Boggy Creek, Legend of Boggy Creek, affected him, and which was good though. He went through and I say he talked about the different scenes or instances in the film, the families, what happened afterwards and things like that. So it's not too bad. It's okay. As far as the documentary, it's shot really well. I know he narrates it. He's in it, but they talk to Prime? Yes. Yeah. Yep.
I don't know if I've seen it or not.
It's just called the Boggy Creek Monster. You might like it, Timo. It's not too bad. I thought you might have seen that one.
I'll have to look it up. I'm going to write it down right now. Look it up because I've seen so many over the years on there too. You're right. There's a lot of stuff in there, so I'm going to write it down though.
Let's see, Timo. Yeah, and there is a lot of Bigfoot movies. I've tried to go through and like see which ones might be remotely, but
right.
For the most part, they all seem on par with each other. Yeah. Now, I know there was the one, and I take it back. I can't remember because there's like Bigfoot, the movie, Bigfoot this, Bigfoot. There's just all, like Wild Man. There's, I apologize. But there's just
there's
tons of them.
Yeah.
And I started to try to watch the one, and it had our booth mate, the gentleman from Gremlins, Timo.
Oh, Zach Galligan. Yeah,
Zach Galligan.
What, American Bigfoot or something it's called?
Ooh, yeah.
Not good, huh?
Yeah. No, and I feel bad because he's in it, and so is Clint Howard's in it.
Okay.
And I just like, for me, and I feel bad about it because then I'm starting to watch it, and I'm like, how does this poor guy go from Gremlins to this? And I start feeling bad, and the whole time I'm feeling bad. I can't watch it. So, you might want to steer clear of that.
Okay, yeah. But I got it queued up, but I haven't looked at it, so maybe I'll forget about that one.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
Another thing that you sent to me, Timo, it's a little documentary on Prime, the true story of the Ramones.
Oh, okay. You watched it?
Yes. Yeah. I'd seen this one before. About a quarter of the way through it, so I was like, "Yeah, I've seen this one, and not bad." what's kind of cool about it, they do show like, it's like a documentary talking to like Tommy Ramone and then, their manager and a couple other people, that Arturo Vega, who, came up with the Ramones logo and was their art guy for years. Yeah, so it's kind of cool. They, because those guys were real close, Monty, Melnick, they were all real close to those guys. So they have their stories. Wasn't bad. And then it would show like videos, but I don't know. I just think whoever, I don't know. It's the sound is god awful in it. Really? So like, yeah, you'll show some of the live stuff and some of it's just so, I mean, now I know the Ramones they weren't Rush, but technically live, if you go see the Ramones, you're going to see a Rush as tight as Rush. They're not as music, you know what I mean?
Right.
But they're tight. It's going to be tight. It's going to be, but some of those ones just sounded so awful. I'm like,
yeah, the audio was way more antiquated back then compared to, especially on cameras and stuff. Yeah.
But they'll show like the Don Kirshner rock concert, and they'll show some clips from that. Some of it was good. Some of the It's Alive stuff. And so it was kind of cool. I did enjoy it, watching it again. I knew most of everything that was in it, from seeing it before or whatever. And mostly just from the years of being a Ramones fan. So yeah, that was cool. I'm glad you sent that over to me.
Nice.
I would recommend, Timo, if you ever get a chance, or any of our listeners, it's the Ramones End of the Century documentary.
Okay.
And it's a good documentary. Even if you're just a remote music fan, it's a good documentary. You don't even have to be a Ramones fan to,
I used to have that record.
It's good.
That's one of the records, right?
Yeah.
I used to have that record.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the one that old Cuckoo Monkey produced. Phil Spector.
Cuckoo Monkey. That's a great. I almost knew exactly who you were talking about just by saying Cuckoo Monkey.
Old Phil Spector. Yeah. And it's funny because that album
it's either Sissy Spacek or it's Phil Spector. I don't know.
Right.
Okay.
And that's such a great album. It's got some of my favorite songs, but it's so overproduced. It's awful. It's just like come on.
It's got Rock and Roll High School on it, right?
Yep. Okay, Rock and Roll High School.
That's what I thought. Yeah. I know a little bit about Ramones. There you go. So.
I Can't Make It on Time. Yeah, that's a good one. It's got a lot of good stuff on it. But I've been watching the Waco stuff here recently. That's been really good.
Oh, I did watch the first episode, I think, into the second episode, and at first I thought that John Leguizamo was playing Koresh. I'm like, my God, is that good makeup and a good voice job? And then I looked it up and like, that's not John. Like, there was a couple seconds though where I was like, maybe that is him imitating somebody. I'm like,
yeah, you're right.
But the main investigator guy is Michael Shannon, and I do like him a whole lot. Yeah,
he's good in it, man. Oh, he's getting better and better in it. And the whole thing for me, I like is just it's good because it's not leaning on any side. It's And I still think David Koresh was a cuckoo monkey too at times.
He was produced by fucking Phil Spector.
Yeah, but I like it. For me right now, it's really good because you're getting a little bit of everything, and you feel for like just about everybody in it. But then again, you're like, well, you're in this because of this, or
right.
But even the guys in the FBI and the CIA, you're like, fuck, these poor guys too. And it only gets worse for them.
Yeah, right.
It's gonna get worse.
Right.
But yeah, that's been pretty good too. Last thing, Timo, and then they had a little 5-minute trailer for the new Gotham, and wow, the new season coming up. Oh, looking good. Looking good, and I know how trailers can be. They show me images. They know how I am. They show me images and get me all excited.
Right.
But yeah, that's coming up soon too. And also notice there's a Han Solo movie.
I was about to say at the Super Bowl they had a Star Wars story, which we both of us like the last one. This one's called Solo. It's called Solo. Yep. So that could be interesting. I thought about you right away when I saw that. Yeah. So
hopefully that'll be okay. That'll be okay. We're fingers crossed.
Yeah.
I like me some Han Solo. I like some ham salad too. I like Hardware Wars. I like that guy too. So yeah. But yeah, Timo, that's it.
All right. Well, let's get to our official films for this week, Mr. Ben Harley.
That sounds good, Timo.
First up, from 1936.
Yeah.
We have the John Ford film Prisoner of Shark Island. Okay.
Yes.
I'm going to get out Movie Guy here. Movie Guy is really enjoying his new digs. He actually has a closet he lives in. here, so this is good.
Yeah.
He's still in the closet, but he's living in there now pretty good. So this is not a horror film, but it's kind of dark and kind of creepy, just in a creepy,
he's in a horrible situation, that's for sure.
Well, you know what he's creepy in like a Hitchcock regular guy in a horrible situation kind of thing, okay? So it's like that, and it's also a true story. So, which is very, very interesting. So let me get out movie guy here and give you the storyline for The Prisoner of Shark Island. All right, here we go.
Okay.
The story of Dr. Samuel Mudd, who was imprisoned after innocently treating President Lincoln's assassin in 1865. So, so basically when John Wilkes Booth, when he shot Lincoln, remember he jumps off the balcony onto the stage and he yells his nonsense and he breaks his leg, right? I mean, that's kind of like, everybody kind of knows that. Well, he went to this doctor's place, and I know history has been up and down about if he knew who it was or not. Yeah. This movie is taking the position that Dr. Mudd did not know who this was. Not know. Okay. Yeah. And he just treats him for his leg and moves along. Yeah. He gets paid really well, though. I think it was like worth $700 in today's money or something like that. I can't remember. Yeah. But he gets paid to do it. And he comes in the middle of the night. Now, I think a doctor would have a little bit more intellectual curiosity who's banging on his door in the middle of the night with a broken leg. We also have to remember that news did not travel exactly the way it does now. No. Either. And, photographs and pictures and stuff. So, yes, that's what it's about. Now, unfortunately, he gets caught up in the conspiracy ring that was tried after Lincoln's assassination. So people should probably look up the fact that the only person who was not tried for the assassination of Lincoln was John Wilkes Booth. But there were other people and they were hung. And there was a woman or two and a few other people that were either justly or unjustly hung. It's very murky, okay? Yeah. But this story follows Dr. Mudd, okay? And his sentencing. He was the person who I guess they took a little bit of sympathy instead of hanging him. Instead of hanging him, they sentenced him to life on Shark. Well, it wasn't really Shark Island. It was actually
somewhere in Key West, right, or off of Key West.
It was the dry Tortugas. Tortugas, the dry
Guantanamo Bay.
Yeah, it was down south. Yeah, so it was the dry Tortugas. They just call it Shark Island there was sharks around the moat. There was a moat around the.
They were prison. Hungry sharks too.
I thought as soon as I saw them sharks in the water, I thought Ben Harley is right now going, I like this movie. This is a great film.
Yeah, this is great.
So what did you think of The Prisoner of Shark Island, Mr. Ben Harley?
I liked this movie quite a bit, Timo. At first, though, I want to say it started slow because it's got a slow pace to it already.
Starts off the assassination of Lincoln. That's
right. Yeah, right. But, yeah. There was a couple minutes though. I was like, wait, okay, Shark Island, assassination of Lincoln, James, Wilkes Booth. Okay, I guess I'm in. I don't know am I in the right movie? Did I start the wrong movie? No, because it said Shark Island at the beginning.
Right.
I was like, wait, I'm in. So it threw me at first, because I didn't read anything about it. So it did. The first, 20 minutes or so, I was like, what the hell? But then I said it started to ramp up a little bit more and you start feeling really bad for his character. You do the whole time, I got awful for him. And so from then on, the movie for me, it got much better. I mean, it was good all the way through. Right. I liked the parts with Lincoln.
You didn't know what you were looking at. Yeah.
No, I was like, how do we get to Shark Island from assassination?
We do a horror podcast, right? What the hell am I looking at here?
Yeah. And I like history, especially American history, Timo. I'm a big fan.
I know.
So, but I thought this movie got much better. It does have a real spooky quality to it, especially once he gets to Shark Island. Now, there's two things that really perked me up. One being Stymie. It was in.
Yeah, I wrote that down. As soon as he came on screen, I yelled, "Stymie!"
That's why I had Stymie.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you got Stymie
Loved
and
it,
Sharks.
yeah.
So you right there,
And
that's
John
two
Carradine.
things.
And John-
And then the
Yeah.
third thing was here comes a young, strapping John Carradine.
Oh, yes. He was
Skinny bones.
awesome. He was awesome,
he's
man.
good.
You want to talk
Yeah.
about a dick. Oh, was he a good, he's like, what is he, like the main guard? He kind of like
Yeah.
running the,
Yeah.
Oh my God, he's such a good dick in that movie. Just
Yeah, and-
wonderful. Yeah.
And he's waiting for, Dr. Mudd to get there, and
Right.
so like he's just after him the whole time, just the whole
Yeah.
time. And I thought his character was really good in it. He played a perfect, he kept calling him Judas,
Yeah. Yeah.
and stuff, which I thought was, fun, not funny, but I thought it was a good part of, whatever. So,
Right.
but so you had three things that really piqued my interest, and I just thought it was a really good movie. Once he gets to Shark Island, or the prison, I still think it was really good. Now, it also reminded me a little bit, it's like a little Shawshank Redemption-ish there
Yep.
too. You got an innocent man in there, nobody believes, you know what I mean, and stuff. So I thought that was kind of cool too, a little bit. And I like that. I like seeing worse. Now, do I think Shawshank Redemption was influenced by Shark? I don't know, but
It could be.
I mean,
Yeah, a little bit,
I like
yeah.
I like that. It's John Ford, right? Come
Right.
on, right?
Yep.
So,
Let me ask you a question. Did you know
yeah.
the story?
no,
That's what's
Tim.
interesting
And so
too.
I was-
That's what's really interesting because even
Yes.
Angio looked over me as he was watching. It's like, is this true? I was like, yeah. I said, it's true. I remember like about, I don't know, what was it? Somewhere between 5 and 10 years ago, History Channel had a series of little documentary miniseries about the assassination to kill Lincoln. And they went through all of this. It's like they went
that's
through
cool,
all of
yeah.
the different characters, not just Samuel Mudd, but they went through all that. I looked at her over and I was like, have you ever heard the expression, your name is Mudd?
Yeah,
And
that's
she
what
went,
I was thinking.
And I
Yep.
said, this is what it's from. It's from this. Yeah. The other thing that's really interesting too is that this movie was made 1865 to 1936, so there was still a few folks who were still alive that were even alive when Lincoln was assassinated. Now they were young, of course, when, it probably happened and everything like that. But it's just interesting to see the reactions of people and how they're portrayed almost 100 years ago.
Yeah.
When something like that happens. And today there'd probably it'd be split down the middle or something, But there was a genuine visceral reaction to Lincoln getting killed, even by the South.
Oh yeah.
Because I think Lincoln, instead of punishing them, wanted to help rebuild.
Yeah. he did.
And I mean, I think a lot of the South was really upset, because they're like, well, at least he's not being a jackass to us.
Well, they made a good point of that during, I thought was very poignant at the beginning. He comes out and he's talking to a lot of the Southern soldiers and he has the band play Dixie.
Yeah.
And that's a very poignant, for me, really started the movie for me. I was like, wow, whoa, okay. And so that was kind of neat, to see. So whether it happened or not, who knows?
Right.
So,
Dr. Samuel Mudd was played by Warner Baxter. I'm not very familiar with Warner Baxter, but that's who
he
that
looked
was.
really familiar though, for some odd reason.
John Ford movie. So, this is an earlier John Ford movie. Not that John Ford wasn't making a lot of movies before this as well.
Now, was this before or after the one we just watched, the one about the Legionnaires?
Actually, the Lost Patrol was 1934, so it was a little bit before this. Just a little bit before this. First of all, John Ford movies. Everyone's heard of John Ford, but unless you actually sit down and start watching, it's kind of like a John Wayne. Well, John Ford and John Wayne are kind of synonymous a little bit, but these movies are really good. There's a reason that they're cliches.
Yeah,
and I think sometimes people of our generation plus, not before, not our parents' generation, our generation plus, look at John Wayne sort of like a heavy metal guy would look at the Bee Gees.
Yeah.
Kind of like ho-hum. But when you really start digging around John Ford stuff, I mean, talk about some great films. I mean, we've done The Lost Patrol, which was completely different than Prisoner of Shark Island.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they're both really dark and creepy.
Sure.
They're kind of creepy a little bit, I mean, this could happen. I mean, it did happen.
Yeah.
That's what's even creepier. It did happen. Gloria Stewart plays Peggy Mudd, who is Samuel Mudd's wife.
Yeah.
And she's the old bat from Titanic.
Is she really?
Yes, and she's also in The Invisible Man and The Old Dark House. That's all Gloria Stewart.
Oh, wow.
So it's very, very cool to see her in the movie. I call this a Robert Osborne movie because on Turner Classic Movies, the guy that used to host all of the shows was Robert. Hello, my name is Robert Osborne. And Angie couldn't stand Robert Osborne because he sounded like a snooty French waiter. I can't stand him. And I loved Robert Osborne. He taught me half of what I know about movies, So I saw this the very first time on Turner Classic Movies via Robert Osborne. Okay. And this is just one of those. And The Lost Patrol was another one that I had seen via that. And I just thought this was a great little movie. It was a great little slice of history.
Yeah.
A really compelling story. You could really root for Dr. Mudd.
Yeah.
And it's a shitload of sharks around the island, and they don't shy away from that whatsoever. And I do
hungry.
I do like Carradine's arc. His character, it's a little melodramatic because it is 1936, but he does have a hell of a character arc. Not too far away from Shawshank Redemption. Also, there's a little bit of that going on as well.
Yeah.
Again, I know this isn't a horror movie, and this is a horror podcast, but we reserve the right to talk about whatever the hell we want to talk about. As a matter of fact, but we do like sharks, especially you. Yeah. Really like sharks, So I thought that this would be a real good, something a little different to sink our teeth into, so to speak.
That a boy.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I wasn't, it's funny. I was laughing at myself before watching it. I'm like, well, I'm not going into it thinking I'm going to see Jaws or anything.
Right.
But I was interested to see how they were portray the sharks in this film.
Right.
I'm a goober.
They don't use them a whole lot, but when they use them, they're really
not bad.
Yeah, they're not bad. Yeah, they're definitely spooky. I mean, well, I'm getting in that water, and they do.
They're like piranha.
Yeah, they are. Which is really cool. And then Carradine throws the meat or something in the water to show them. Yeah, what's going to happen.
Come out of nowhere. Yeah. And it's a pretty decent effect for the most part. I was impressed with it. But yeah, I like what you're saying too with Carradine. His transition from total jackass, to the end is pretty good. And they're knowing that it's a true story, which I'm sure a lot of it was overdone, but that even makes it more fun for me. I figured it was. I didn't read too much into it, but I figured it was based in some reality. Yeah. And then there's some good stuff in there, because his wife actually hatches a plan to save him.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's really good too, And I will say too in this, I don't know. Him and the guy that helps him, the gentleman, Huck. Is it Huck or Buck? Buck, I think.
I can't remember his name, but yeah.
Yeah, I liked their relationship too. And there's a lot of stuff. That's 1936. There's a lot of stuff in there that, I thought was done well. But yeah, no, I thought it was a really good movie. I've enjoyed the last year. I don't know if I like this one as much as The Lost Patrol as far as the film, but I think I liked it because it being a true story, it's different. So I like that. I think what I like about these movies, or the John Ford ones, is what I like about Steven Spielberg films a lot of times too, is you're giving me images to look at that draw me in to these movies. Right. You know what I mean? Now, I know these are old, some of them, some are stale, some are old, some are whatever, creaky, but they still, I love watching where film has come to where it is now. Right. And it has come light years, but then again, the basic stuff is still there. Right. And for me, it's camera angles and how you draw me into, and a lot of it had to do with same thing with the Phantom of the Opera that we watched. Right. We just reviewed last week. Right. And that's what I like about this, John Ford. It might be the guys that are playing the drums before the people are getting hung, just the way he shot that. I don't know. It's cool. I liked it. Right. Right. That's what I like a lot too about these films. And I thought this one was shot well, done well. And I felt for the characters in this movie too, just like The Lost Patrol. I would call this almost a true life thriller, almost in a way. Yeah. Not like a serial killer type thriller, but definitely a suspense edge. You see what's going to happen. It's very dark.
And
you
his
just feel so
situation is pretty
bad for this
much,
guy.
his situation is almost hopeless. And
they're leading the guy around with a bag on his head.
Yeah.
Or the prisoners.
Yeah.
And it's just, you got it. It's like, what? This is the thing that made it a horror movie for me a little bit more, Timo, is like, what's more horrifying? And I'm not, the government's probably listening, so I'm going to talk soft. But what is more horrifying than to be up against the government when you have no chance? And especially, he had no chance. They were so upset. They didn't give a flip what he had to say.
Yeah, they full well admitted that they were going to railroad these people. They didn't want to hear any defense bullshit. Nope. They were just like, I mean, it was right in your face.
Someone had to pay. Someone had to pay. And I loved the part when he finally says, "You're going to listen to me. I don't care."
Right.
But did it help? No.
Well, maybe it did, because he did spare the noose, so.
True.
So we got that. But I'm going to give The Prisoner of Shark Island a really big great bape up. Again, it's not really a horror film. This week is not really much to do with horror as much as it is interesting cult films and something a little bit different. And this is really good.
There's some horror elements.
It does have some, and it's really good. And it's kind of a historical note for film and for history itself. I'm going to give us a really big great bape up, Prisoner of Shark Island. What you got, Mr. Ben Harley?
I'm going to give it not a huge great bape up, but a big great bape up. You know what I mean? I like this movie. I would watch it again. I would definitely recommend it. And I think for me, I love American history. So this was a good one. This was right in my wheelhouse. And I think it did have enough. Like I said, the situation the guy was in was horrible. And then you throw some sharks in there. And you,
makes it a little worse.
And and you give me Stymie and John Carradine, I'm in. So I thank you. I thank you, Timo, and I thank you, John Ford, for that.
Right.
So,
all right.
Great bape up.
Good. Let's get to our next official film. Let's see, Mr. Ben Harley. Let me get out movie guy. This is the 1981. What's 1981? What is 19?
The best year in horror?
That's right. The best year in film. Period. Yes. Not sure. I think this one might be riding some coattails. I'm not too sure about that. But this is the 1981 film, The Incredible Shrinking Woman, starring Lily Tomlin. Now, anyone who is, let's see, I'm 44. I'd say anyone who was probably maybe 40 plus, if you had cable, you've seen this film. You've seen this film when you were a kid, if you've seen it. So let me see here. Let me get out movie guy. A little bit of a longer plot, our storyline here, Mr. Ben Harley. So sit back for a second. Let's see what we got here. Now, I warn you, I haven't read this yet, so I'm going this dry again. So let's see what it says. All right, here we go.
Right.
Storyline for The Incredible Shrinking Woman. Here we go. Comedy legend Lily Tomlin stars in the effervescent 1981 comedy, The Incredible Shrinking Woman. Exposed to a heady mix of household chemicals, Pat Kramer, Tomlin, contracts a strange side effect. She begins to shrink. Baffling doctors, Pat's diminishing size starts to really bring her down until her story captures the hearts of the American people and the attention of a sinister group of scientists bent on world domination. Getting out of this predicament while still taking care of her family will be no small feat. Oh, God. No small feat. Also starring Charles Grodin, Midnight Run, Ned Beatty, Deliverance, Homicide, Life on the Street, and Tomlin's fellow Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In alumni, Henry Gibson, and featuring makeup master Rick Baker, King Kong, Star Wars, as Sidney the Gorilla. The Incredible Shrinking Woman is a smart little comedy with big laughs. Little commentary there at the end. What did Rick Baker do with Star Wars?
Nothing with Star Wars, I don't think.
It says it here.
Did it say Star Wars?
This is the back of the Blu-ray. Yeah. Rick Baker, King Kong, Star Wars. All right, well, that's not my fault if that's wrong, folks. If every possibility that he had something. He was a kid running around doing things uncredited for a while. I mean, so I'm not saying he didn't, but that was a little, I think we would know that, but I'm not, but who knows, let's see here. Yes, from 1981. Yes. Rick Baker plays a gorilla.
Monster Maker.
Yeah, he plays a gorilla in this film, which is what we were alluding to earlier with the 76 King Kong, where Rick Baker played King Kong in that film. And Charles Grodin was the Carl Denham character, although his name wasn't Denham in that film. They're both in this film as well. And Charles Grodin plays Lily Tomlin's wife. And yeah, it's kind of weird. It's like Lily Tomlin, her husband was an ad exec for a bunch of different products. And he keeps bringing stuff home and spraying them all over the place. And apparently there's a chemical reaction and everything that starts Lily Tomlin to shrink.
Yeah.
And so what we have here is a bit of a satire on life in 1981 and a bit of a spoof of The Incredible Shrinking Man kind of rolled up into one. But this movie is definitely more satire because it's not really laugh out loud funny.
No,
it's not laugh out loud funny whatsoever, but it is a bit of a humorous kind of film.
Yeah.
What do you think? I know we've all seen this. What do you think going back to? Because I'll tell you what, maybe it's the same for you. I haven't seen this since probably cable. Back when I was a little kid, I remember.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Yeah.
Now this is one that I did see in the theater too, but it's been so long since I've seen this movie. Now this is one I remember liking when I was younger. I thought it was okay, and I always liked Lily Tomlin. I did. I thought she was funny for the most part. But going back and watching this one, it is funny. Even going into it, I was like, this movie. Still in my head reminds me of something kind of a cult type film where it's bizarro a little bit. You
know what I wrote down? Let me see if this helps you just real quick.
Sure.
Sorry to interrupt you, but I think this might help you. It feels like a Roger Corman influenced satire. Like Roger Corman did Death Race and all that stuff. And it has that weird, humorous, 70s cult feel to it. Is that what you were feeling? That's what I wrote down a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, because even the whole suburbia stuff when she's coming home from the grocery store and everybody's saying, check out my boat. I cleaned it with such, and just everything, like all the colors were jacked up,
Right.
Now this, and I know you sent it to me on Blu-ray, but it's not a real good transfer. I think it's just the way it was shot originally. It's very grainy. So that actually adds a little something to it. But I always remember this movie being off kilter a little. You can't take it serious. So even after about the first 5-10 minutes, I kind of got the feel for it again. Right. I was like, oh wait, now I know what I'm getting into again, which is okay, which was fine for me. It's an odd film at times. It's very odd, but I think what they tried to do, maybe, I don't know, I think this is an early film where they tried to make it for kids and adults too.
A little bit. Yeah.
But some of the adult themes are and I watched some of this stuff then, and it's so risque compared to the things nowadays. I mean, as far as what you'd want your kid to see, now back then we didn't think nothing about it. I really, you know what I mean? Right. I don't know. It's just certain themes, nothing really bad. You know what I mean? But I kind of enjoyed watching it again. I didn't like it near as much as I thought I was going to.
I agree. Yeah.
But I still think it's a definite curiosity from that time period, and I like that about it. I like just about every actor that's in this film too. I like at some point in my life I've liked him more. You know what I mean? Maybe, but I love Ned Beatty in it. I think he's great. He's he's crummy enough.
He's got some Gene Wilder hair going on a little bit.
Oh, he does. Yeah. But Tim, I'm going to give this. I don't know if you want to speak more, but right off the bat, I'm going to give it a great babe up only for the fact that I liked the nostalgia of it. I think they were going for something that was a little different, and it is different from most of the movies at that time.
Yeah.
And I think it was a little ahead of its time in its weirdness, but I don't know. I don't know that I didn't, like you said, I didn't laugh out loud. It wasn't nothing that made me laugh out loud or whatever. Right. I was looking at it from the standpoint too of special effects at that time, what they were doing, what they were pushing, and some of it looks fantastic. Some of it looks, it is what it is.
I always remember the garbage disposal scene.
Yeah,
that was the one thing I always remembered because I have a bit of I'm a guitar player. And I have a bit of an issue with garbage disposals because you got to put your hand down in them sometimes.
Yeah.
And stuff. But I always remember the toast falling on her. And it's just something that was just a really cool scene for me. It was a theatrical debut, featured debut for Joel Schumacher. This was his his first film. Now, here's another thing.
Now, you know what? You just explained everything to me now.
Okay. Well, I know. It's going to explain more because remember I said Roger Corman. It feels like a Roger Corman. John Landis was the original director.
Oh, okay.
And the
Okay.
budget was cut and he dropped out. And this is a John Landis feeling movie.
Yeah.
Because
big time.
Landis can tend to make a movie that's humorous but not really funny. Like Innocent Blood is a good example of that, where I didn't find it. I mean, you got Don Rickles in a movie. I'm not laughing. Okay, so it's he has a way.
wrong.
Yeah, he has a way of doing that. And you're right. The cast is interesting because they have Mark Blankfield is the guy that's like with Sydney the gorilla.
Sydney.
Yeah, I like Mark Blankfield. He was in some good
too.
stuff back then. I think he was in Jekyll and Hyde Together again, which I always enjoyed that movie.
Okay.
John Glover is a smarmington guy in it. He's pretty young in this film. Actually, Dick Wilson as the store manager is in this. Now, Dick Wilson is also known as Squeeze a Sherman guy.
Mr. Whipple.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And the one thing that kind of like I don't know if I like this or I'm kind of oohed out by it. But man, the one thing I remember from when I was a kid too is his old Concepcion. The maid or whatever, the Hispanic who has a transformation out of this world, and she ends up wearing like Pat Benatar clothes and shaking. Man, she could shake those hips. But what was kind of funny is when they were shooting that scene, the director said, "Okay, now you got to shake him more." Yeah. I mean, you got to shake him to the point where it's goofy. Keep shaking her hips more. But I honestly think that it was more of a curiosity and a nostalgia thing to go back and see it. Yeah, I'm not sure how much it translates today as much as it did then. Back in the
back in
the late 70s and early 80s, the big thing would be, I don't know, terrorism and they're trying to convince us we all hate each other, which we don't. Yeah. I mean, it's ridiculous. But
consumerism was a big thing.
It was, you're right. Because even like Dawn of the Dead at the mall and stuff like that, rampant consumerism was definitely and there was inflation and stuff going on at the time, which is why Reagan, big part of why Reagan got into. I'm going to give us because it really does not hold up for me at all. And it was less humorous than I remembered it. Now, I'm really glad I went back and watched it. I mean, I'm really glad that I got it and I watched it because it had been so long since I'd seen it. Yeah. But I think I just watched this when I was a kid because it was the only thing that had some mildly interesting sci-fi or supernatural stuff that was PG that was on during the day on cable.
Sure.
So I think I watched it. I'm not a big Lily Tomlin fan. I'm just not. I never was a big Lily Tomlin fan. I do like Charles Grodin, but he's kind of like not very funny in this movie. He's just kind of like, he's out for number one, which is his job. It's not even him.
Yeah. Right.
And Concepcion grabbed my eyes once or twice, I guess, but that was really about it. I'm going to give I can't poop on it. I just can't because it's just there's too many interesting things going on there. I think it's just a time capsule movie. It just doesn't translate quite as well right now, but I do remember back then. I mean, So I'm going to give this like, I don't know. I kind of wanted a little more out of it. I thought it'd be it kind of slowed down for me a little bit too. And I thought that there were some attempts at laugh out loud humor that were horrible. Just horrible. I mean, really bad, like falling flat, So that's, I'm just going to give it that. I'm just going to, so let's see, Mr. Ben Harley. We got a Grape Ape up from you for Incredible Shrinking Woman. I got an and then two big Grape Apes up for Prisoner of Shark Island, which is really interesting. And that's it. That's the close for the first show at Thermal Ridge, Mr. Ben Harley.
That's right.
Worked out pretty well. We haven't had any glitches or nothing.
Sounded good, huh?
I apologize if I'm a little bit slower and raspier than normal. I'm a little tired, okay?
Yeah.
I'm a little tired.
I bet.
Yeah, and it's not going to slow down anytime soon. We still got stuff at the old house. I got 3 storage units of stuff filled up, so it ain't slowing down anytime soon. No. We're going to keep pushing on, Mr. Ben Harley, because the show must go on.
That's right, my friend. Right? That's right.
So until next week, when I come back, hopefully a little bit more rested, Mr. Ben Harley, stay spooky, and we will talk to you then.
Keep it creepy, people.
You've been listening to the Timo and Harley Show, brought to you by ScreenPrintingFactory.com, your affordable one-stop solution to all your screen printing needs.